Today, Todd will be talking about how we are, or maybe if we are, entering the age of innovation with 3D printing. So please welcome to the stage, Todd Grimm.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Well, I'll answer that question right off the bat. We are in an age of innovation. That's my proposition. That's what I'm positing. And I hope to provide you evidence as to why I'm making that statement, to get you to come along with me and believe that, but also offer some examples to show where my logic is coming from, and along the way, give you some advice, some practical advice on what to do with the innovation, to leverage it, to harness it, to get the most out of it for your organizations. So as the title says, an age of innovation. And that innovation is all around us here at the TCT event, in more ways than you can imagine. There's innovation that's visible, obvious, it's dead front, right in front of our eyes. There's innovation that's obscure, it's nebulous, it's there, and you may witness it or you may not. And there's innovation that is absolutely invisible to you and I. It's out there. Now we're entering this age of innovation that many people proclaimed incorrectly had begun 2 and 3 years ago. If you've ever seen me present here at TCT or read any of my columns, I for years have emphatically stated we are not in an age of rampant, weekly, monthly innovation where things are just changing every single day. Instead, it was my position that we were in a very attractive age where we were seeing advancements based on existing technologies, an evolutionary move instead of revolutionary or innovative. But I believe I'm bringing you good news today that we are entering the age of innovation. We are in the leading edge of this age of innovation, and this age of innovation is going to cover hardware and software and materials and processes and supporting processes and businesses and applications making use of the innovation. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what comes out, and I'm excited to see how each of you leverage this technology to get the most out of it, to change the way you do business, to do things better. Now let me back up and explain my logic first. So I said already that there are many proclamations that innovation had begun, a rampant wave of innovation 2 and 3 years ago, but that was incorrect. What was happening was news would come out and people would interpret the news incorrectly. A new, larger machine, innovation. Yet another desktop extrusion machine, innovation. A new application like printing dinosaur bones, innovation. Well, they were interpreting that information incorrectly or just chose to look at it from the wrong perspective, because those things were building off of what had come prior. Dinosaur bone, that example I offered, we were doing that 20 years ago. And building a bigger machine to me is not innovation. It's an advancement, it's a welcome advancement, but it's not innovation. Now where I'm coming from in my key theme here, so we've progressed from innovation into what we really had was evolution. But I believe we're in the age of innovation where it's going to be the major player along with continued advancement in the coming years. And my logic is this. Let me ask you, if you have an innovative product, how long does it take your company, truly innovative, to launch that product to market? I'd say 5 years is very, very aggressive. Would you agree? And 10 years is a little more common. So between 5 and 10 years to bring that innovation to market. Well, how long ago did the hype begin? Let's say, just for round numbers, about 5 years ago when we reached this crescendo and everybody was looking at the industry and it was drawing attention, and that attention was the trigger to get people to say, you know what? I can do it better. It was the trigger to motivate them to take action. Now they got to go through the process of bringing that innovation to life. They've got to do the fundamental science to prove out the concept. They've got to do research. They've got to get funding. They've got to do product development. They've got to do beta testing. They've got to build the business model around it to support it, to distribute it, and that takes time. If that takes 5 to 10 years, and the hype began 5 years ago, that means that in the aggressive side, we're right at that leading edge. If it takes 10 years, we have another 5 years of innovation. So I truly believe this age of innovation is going to last for the next 3 to 5 years, and we're going to see amazing changes. Now, some of the evidence, I call them the harbingers, or the first wave. These are the very visible examples of innovation. And I'm very picky on what I call innovative. So I'm going to give you examples and tell you why I think it's innovative and highlight some of the key things that may motivate you to look at the technology. Now, I can't cover every innovation, so those in the room that I don't mention, I apologize, I don't have the time. I also can't cover every industry, so I'm not going to talk about big machines for construction. I'm focusing on design and manufacturing applications for making discrete products. And I'm not going to give you all the details to educate you on these. Instead, pique your interest, get you to take a look. The first one is the most obvious one. They've already had 2 presentations here, and that is HP. I call it innovative because it's attacking the trilogy of what we want simultaneously without sacrifice. I made that as an emphatic statement. If they deliver as promised, they're attacking the trilogy. Faster, cheaper, better quality. And yes, they have innovative technology to achieve that. They're opening the door to higher throughput, lower cost, and maintaining quality, which opens the doors to new applications. That's an obvious one. Another obvious one for many is a company called Carbon 3D with a process called CLIP, Continuous Layer Interface Production. Anybody familiar with that? Seen a video where a ball is just being drawn out of the resin? 100 times faster is the claim for this technology. It's an innovation, but at the heart of it, it's DLP technology, which has been around since 2002, and now you can buy dozens of systems using DLP. So where's the innovation? They're turning a negative into a positive. Photopolymers do not convert in an oxygen-rich environment. They're using that negative to create an oxygen barrier that allows them to accelerate the process beyond what DLP can usually do, which gives you higher throughput. And the secret sauce is, because they can go a lot faster, they have a lot more latitude in material chemistry to deliver new materials that aren't currently available in the additive manufacturing world. Another innovation, Cincinnati Inc., in conjunction with Oak Ridge National Labs. Now this is FDM, this is extrusion. I call it innovative because it's on a massive scale. Parts up to 20 feet or 6.1 meters long, depositing polymers at 45 kilograms an hour. Is that innovative? In my book it is, because it opens up applications for large, bulky parts that weren't previously possible. Another innovation, voxelate. This is also extrusion, combining what others are doing, but I call it innovative because they're combining rigid plastics with conductive materials to allow you to do one-step operations to create electromechanical assemblies. Voxelate's going to be a desktop system selling for under $10,000 US. It's innovative. It's building on what others have done, but there's innovation there. Another innovation I just became aware of yesterday at the show, photocentric. Very similar to DLP also. I call it innovative. They're called the process DPP for daylight polymer printing because of the material chemistry they're using, photopolymers, but they're cured with ambient light, not UV light, visible light. And also they're using a liquid crystal display to create the photomask that illuminates and cures polymer. The innovation, liquid crystal displays are rather cheap compared to DLP chips, which means that they have the possibility of scaling up. Small desktop machine right now selling all of $799. Or maybe that might have been pounds, I can't remember the list price. And finally, one you may not be aware of, Hermle. This is innovative because they're taking a traditional manufacturing process, yet another one, and adding the third dimension. The traditional process is thermal spray, projecting powdered metal at a high velocity, allowing it to impact a surface to create a mechanical bond. They're so innovative that ASTM might actually have to come up with another classification in add another one to the 7 that we already have for the different process groupings. They call their process MPA, or metal powder application. It's a hybrid system also. So deposit the material, so you're not going to get net shape out of it from the additive portion, but at the same time doing machining. What they're going after are large bulky parts up to 200 cubic centimeters an hour. Those are some examples of the visible, they've announced, we see them, we can read information, innovators in our space. And what do we do with that? I'll offer you some information on how to harness this. First thing is to note the gestation period. HP announced in October of last year, you will not be able to buy a machine until late next year. Carbon 3D became publicly known earlier this year. They're not naming dates and times of delivery, but many suspect that it'll be 2016. Cincinnati is selling machines, but only to a select few who are willing to R&D, so it's still kind of a beta program. So when you become aware of it, you're going to have to wait. What do you do in that waiting time? And here's the advice. Be observant enough to see it. And then ask the question, is there any possibility of this having a beneficial application in our organization? If yes, keep it in the hopper for further investigation and evaluation, and use that then to build your plan for tomorrow. Start to fold it into the applications you're going to do, the technologies you're going to use, how you're going to use them, and how you're going to benefit. So start building the plan in advance so you're not caught flat-footed and have to respond the day that it's released. Now let's move on to the next wave. These are the obscure innovations you may or may not be aware of. They've been publicly announced, but they're just not promoted in a big way. The first one is a company out of the US called Impossible Objects. They are the first that will be able to give you true composite parts, carbon fiber, Kevlar, other cloth materials. And what they're doing is depositing a polymer, layer by layer, that becomes basically an adhesive to carbon fiber sheets or Kevlar sheets. I say this is next wave because they don't have a machine yet. They've got a process, but they don't have a machine. But this opens up the door for possibly stronger and lighter parts that you can't do a carbon fiber layup with because of cost, time, or even configuration limitations. TNO, here in Europe. It's a research institute. At Euromold last year, they showed a new powder metal technology. They won't tell you how it's being done, but their claim is 10 times faster than the laser-based systems. So we have speed gains there. Just like TNO, business model-wise, is Fraunhofer. Fraunhofer also has another way of doing metal powder additive manufacturing. They are also going after speed, but also cost. Now, they are giving away what they're doing. They're replacing the laser with laser diodes, lower wattage, but there's an array of multiple laser diodes on a carriage that traverses the powder bed. Now, I also say next wave for these because these two organizations are typically, historically, research organizations that bake a project or a process or a technology, then turn around and license it. So even if it's ready today, they still have to find a licensee who then has to build a business and make it available to you. The next one, Plus Manufacturing, another traditional manufacturing technology that's had the third dimension added. This company is using wire arc welding as the fundamental process. What they're going after, much like Hermle, is larger, bulkier parts, 2 kilograms an hour for deposition rates, multiple materials simultaneously, and parts up to 1,200 millimeters long. So larger parts, faster, and more materials. And then finally, Rise. Company you probably don't even know the name. I tried to get to their website. It doesn't even exist. It was formerly known as File to Part. But publicly, there's absolutely no information available about them. What they're doing is combining extrusion of thermoplastics with a jetting process, and the jetting does an application of a material that changes the fundamental properties of the plastic that's already been deposited. So imagine a plasticizing agent to make something rubbery or softer or change the color. These are the next wave, and this is just a sampling. Now, what do you do with the next wave? Key thing on this is to avoid distraction. I find, as human beings, the temptation to have shiny baubles as our target, and we lose focus on what we're doing here and now. And ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely implore you to not take your eye off the ball of what you're doing now and the technologies you're using. I guarantee that 90% of you who have additive manufacturing still aren't using it to its utmost. So keep pushing the boundaries, keep looking for new applications with the technologies you have, and when you hit a wall, that might be the trigger for you to say, you know what, that technology over there might possibly solve it when it becomes commercially available. And also in your plans, please don't bake these new technologies into your plan without a contingency. It would be absolutely unwise to assume that all these next wave technologies are going to be commercial successes. So many things can happen. Great technology looks good on paper and doesn't deliver in real life. The business has funding problems. The business is run improperly. Competitive forces force it out. So these may come to light, and they may be technologies that open the door for you for new applications and new things that you can do, but they may not. So I want you to plan for them. Look at them just as the first wave, evaluate them, investigate, ask the question, can I use it? Start to build it in the plan, but have a contingency. Because there's a strong likelihood that some of these will fail. There's a strong likelihood that some of these will be delayed. There's a company here called Blueprinter, which announced another way of doing sintering of plastics using a thermal imaging system. They announced about 6 years ago, and it was only last year that they were announced commercially available. Only last year they were able to take it as a global solution. For them, it was a matter of building the business and working out that last 10% of the technology to make it reliable for every application that you have. So get excited about it. I am. But at the same time, have a degree of pragmatism to have a backup plan. And here's where I want to spend a little bit of time. All these technologies, no matter how great they are, will have no impact on the world unless we use them, unless we have applications for them. And this is the portion where we need to step up as users to exercise the technology, to get amazing things out of it, to leverage everything that's available. So it's going to create new applications for us. It's going to create new opportunities. It might be as simple as being able to do that part which is in an odd material that you could never do before, or this part which is slightly larger. Or it could be a new application in terms of quantity, low volume manufacturing, and on and on and on. Those applications can be born on these new technologies that come in the age of innovation. However, I believe, many of my colleagues disagree with me, that you should plan on coming up with these new applications in seclusion, in isolation. What I mean by that is it's going to be up to you and your organization to do most of the work to come up with the idea and then to make it work. It's highly unlikely that the vendors of the new technology will have all the information you need in their hip pocket. They will have some of it and be able to assist you with their target application, but in this industry, it's so common to deliver a new solution and find out that you thought that this was going to be the killer application and the real one's over here. So if the real one's over here and you discover it, they won't have the resources to assist you. Or and that also happens with technology, you buy it for an application and discover that there's a bigger benefit over there in that department. The other thing about this is, we're in an interesting age right now, on the heels of it, it's going to turn, where it's very, very, very beneficial to publicly proclaim that I am doing additive manufacturing. Before the hype cycle, big companies, small companies, mid-sized companies treated additive manufacturing as a competitive advantage. And they didn't want you to know what they were doing, and they didn't want you to know what they're doing. They kept all that information very, very, very close to the vest. I'll use GE as an example. I'd be surprised if anyone in the audience doesn't know about the fuel nozzle that'll be 3D printed and put on the next generation LEAP engine. Very, very close to that happening. The first 25 years of additive manufacturing for GE, they wouldn't tell you what technologies they had. They wouldn't tell you their applications. They wouldn't stand up on stage and even give you an idea or paint a picture of what they were doing because it was a competitive advantage. I know this as a writer, trying to get somebody to contribute to an article and state that we are doing X and achieving Y. It was really hard to happen. But because of the hype, it became advantageous to announce. And I believe, I've never asked GE this, I believe the reason that GE has come out and said we're doing the fuel nozzle is they're riding the hype of 3D printing to prove that they're an innovative company to get mind share. As soon as the hype dies off, I think companies are going to retract. So it's going to be up to you to discover the application, to find it within your organization, and it's going to be up to you to dig deeper, find the solutions, make it work, and determine the value. Yeah, there will be collaboration. There'll be resources for you to network and converse with people to get some insight, but just don't expect it to come through the trade magazine in the front or the center article in a big way. So you will need to keep your eyes and ears open. Now the third wave. So we've talked about the obvious, the visible. We've talked about the obscure, kind of nebulous. The third wave is the invisible. And what I have to tell you is so exciting, but I can't. That's what the third wave looks like. It is so invisible that we're not made aware of it. We're not made privy to it. Now, I am privileged to have some insight into some new technologies that are coming, but I'm under non-disclosure agreements. I can't disclose. And I know for a fact that have only been privileged to a small number of those programs and projects. There's a lot more out there. And the companies that are looking are big and they're small. They're startups and they're established. They're regional and they're national. They are looking to do innovative things in the additive manufacturing space in hardware, materials, and software and processes across the board. But I can't name them, and many of them are invisible to almost everyone, except maybe some investors. But the one thing I will tell you, they may be nearer than you think, this third wave. The gentleman sitting behind you might be the third wave. The gentleman sitting next to you, if you're not friends, he might have a new technology coming. Because last year, let's say Carbon 3D, with the technology that's caught everybody's attention, sat right there and was looking at this market and talking with people. So you might be rubbing elbows with that next wave. Now they're not going to disclose. One example, I just got approval to cite it this morning, is a company that I'm aware of. Some of the former team from Objet in the earliest days, creating the jetting technology. They've got a company called XJet. And XJet is looking to create, and hopes to deliver next year, a new alternative for metal additive manufacturing. I can't tell you any more than that. But the one thing I will tell you is that company was not founded yesterday. It wasn't founded last year. It wasn't founded 2 years before that. It was founded 10 years ago. And it's taken, back to my original statement, a full 10 years by the time they introduce the product to bring it to fruition. It takes time. So we've got to show in this age of speed, and this technology that gives us all this speed, we've got to show a little bit of patience. Now I'm going to leave you with a lot of time, but leave you with a closing thought and comment. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what's coming. I'm excited to see what's coming. I'm excited to see what you're going to do. And as I mentioned through the presentation, I want you to observe, witness, ask, investigate, and plan. But the key thing I want to leave you with, and the thing where slings and arrows, not of outrageous fortune, are going to come my way, but slings and arrows from inflammatory statements is going to come from this next statement. Because unless you have deep pockets, unless you have all the resources to deal with any stumbles, hurdles, or new discoveries that aren't pleasant, my key advice to you, the average company, is to see these technologies, build the plan, and then wait. Wait 1 to 2 years after that technology is commercialized. Allow the early adopters to adopt it, bring it into their facilities, start to work with it, and discover those subtle little, oh goodness, we can't build that kind of part, or this causes a problem, or this is unexpected, because I guarantee, well, I can't guarantee, the odds are that that's going to happen with every new technology that comes out. It's happened with every one of them that's come out previous over the last 25 years. There's no reason it wouldn't happen with what's coming. So, the reason I say slings and arrows are coming my way, the vendors aren't very happy with me saying that. But it's my advice to you. If you're the average company with the average resources and the average budget, get excited now, build the plan, but at the same time, be patient. I know it's tough. That new toy's out there, that new technology, we do amazing things, but be a little bit patient and let other people bring it in, exercise it, and work out those little kinks, those little surprises to make it a truly productive, more of a drop-in solution so that you can start employing it from day one to tackle that new application that you've come up with. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to what happens. I'm looking forward to that third wave being revealed to myself. And as I said in the opening, I'm really looking forward to see how each of you leverage this technology to do some amazing things. Thank you very much.